look terrible, Mr. O'Curry. You look like a bag of shit stuffed in a cheap. Are you employed? You don't go out looking for a job dressed like that, do you? On a weekday? Is this
It's all wasted. It all just gets trampled by the music. I get to enjoy it only because I know what it's saying. And then they're hearing me say that. All of them, they.
What a shame, because I'm picking good ones, man. Picking whoppers.
Are you employed, Mr. Bob?
Employed?
All I can tell you is I was blown away by what I saw as just a guest in the lounge, just a guest of being a part of the staff. I can't even imagine the thrills and the chills. It was almost more than I could take. But I got to tell you, I met Bob Scott and I spent some time talking with him. He's an excellent storyteller. I always enjoy a good story. And Bob Doyle, he was there to, if you're sitting around on a Saturday night and you don't know what to do, you might check out the Lounge Show.
It's The Lounge Show with Rob Scott and Bob Doyle, two veteran broadcasters who love to hear themselves talk and are somehow able to tolerate each other. Let's see if you can tolerate them as well. Here's Rob and Bob.
What's that? What is that?
That's the drum ending of the song that you don't hear.
Oh, okay. Very good. Look at the cosmos behind Bob today, boys and girls. He's got some fancy lighting.
Yeah, I sure do. I don't know how long that's going to last. It's been turning off on me saying it goes on. It's an old thing I got forever ago. And it's a Bluetooth speaker. And I turn it on and it goes Bluetooth mode. And I don't want Bluetooth mode because if I don't start playing music in it through Bluetooth after a certain amount of time, it just turns off. I think I found a mode that's not Bluetooth, so that might just stay there in the background. But my background's just so boring, I gotta find something to kind of
spice it up.
Give it a little spice. Sure, we'll spice it up with some lights.
They're not really headphones, though, are they? By definition, aren't these pods?
They're earphones. Disco Bob, that's right. Bob. Disco here, disco Dean's this here. Way, disco that way. My band director said that in 8th grade.
No shit.
He did.
That was one of his hip jokes.
He said, "Well, first of all, this guy is hipper than either of you could ever hope to be. He was a musician. He was a musician who played with Gladys Knight, and I mean, he was pretty amazing, actually. But yes, he did make some stupid joke, and he wasn't really thinking this was. He was making fun of the fact that it was stupid, and because of he was just like this sort of short." Big, when he did the disco this way, disco, it just was a funny visual. It just worked on all levels when you're in 8th grade. And this is a guy you're scared of because his first teacher you've ever heard curse, and not just curse a little, but like Army Sergeant curse,
Oh, okay.
Band was very, very, it was, I wouldn't say it was militaristic because he was not a military type of guy, but aside from that, it was very militaristic.
So he was cool. You liked him. He was kind of. He
was anybody who was in the band. He was the favorite forever. I mean, because he was just one of those guys who he was not like any other teacher. He connected with you. He was cool. He cursed. Right. He broke every freaking rule he could break.
That's
and somehow got away with it. He could not name? Today. Melvin J. Hodges Jr., who I believe is still with us.
God bless you, Mr. Hodges.
Yeah. I mean, I would have heard he wasn't.
See, Dean said kindergarten flashbacks, and do you know why Dean is here? Because he knows
it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday.
Right, and that means it's time for the Lounge Show, which is what Latbat said at the beginning. And if you're saying who's Latbat,
the lovely and talented
Tracy, lovely and booth announcer Tracy. I had to.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean, we say Latbat all the time. Sometimes you just have to check in with reality and say, yeah, that stands for something.
So what was his name? Hodgins? Mr. Hoskins?
Hodges.
Because we had a teacher in high school named Mr. Dykstra. Richard Dykstra. And
Wait
we
a
called
minute.
him. Wait a minute.
Richard Dykstra. What? Wait, there's a Dykstra involved with the whole Star Wars thing. And I thought it was Richard.
That could be. It very well could be, but I I'm not putting two and two together, and I'm not conflating anything. I guarantee our civics teacher in high school had nothing to do with Star Trek. But he was the... What?
I said Star Wars. I didn't say Star Trek. Did I?
I don't know, Bob. Roll back the tape. Somebody roll back the tape.
Let's Star Wars.
And talk into Bob's ear. Anyway, the point is, Mr. Dykstra was cool. He was the one who was cool. He gave you more wiggle room so that you could be cool to try to impress the girls or whatever in class. You know, he kind of let you be a little more
grown up.
You thought, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. He treated us more like grown-up people than kids, and that was, you know. But it came with he did. If you let him down, right, and the way he let you know it because you had such respect for him, I mean, you really felt it. You know what I mean? It's like you didn't want to disappoint. Once you, at first, I was scared to death. I told my mom, John Dykstra. That's who it was. That's the Star Wars guy. At first, I said, I want to quit. I can't. This guy's too scary, basically, you know. And he was putting into music in my 8th grade trumpet face that I couldn't play. It was Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff with notes higher than I'd ever been met in elementary school. And I remember I said to him, I can't play this, and this rings in my head forever, and as does it other people who were around to this day. He said, "Is it music?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that was the end of it. You know, you can play it. It's music. And I'm like, but my lips, you know. Anyway, I soon switched to mellophone, which was easier on my lips and a much more unique sound. And there were only 4 of us, and I loved that. I got to rise to the...
But he was the cool guy. But you didn't want to let him down because you thought to yourself, hey, he's doing this solid toward me. I don't want to let that gift down. And, you know, like disappoint him.
Yeah, at first it took a while for me to warm up. I mean, you know, because it's pretty scary. You're not used to that kind of, you know, if you've never had that kind of authority figure in your life, like someone who's like that, it's jarring, and you know, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. But once you get it, it's like, oh well, see, it just freaking power off. I don't know why, and now I'm just.
That was great.
I'm
Roll
in
that
the
back. Maybe I want to watch that again. That was good. Boy, you forecast that cheap ass light.
I'm irritated. There's no switch. You know, there's nothing to say, okay, well, if I don't want Bluetooth mode, then what?
I don't know, Bob. I have no idea your light worked for a little bit. It was kind of cool. Anyway, to finish my Mr. Dykstra, we called him Dickie D, Richard Dykstra. And so senior year, we cut class to go to the Cubs home opener.
Fun.
So, yeah, have you ever been to Wrigley Field in April? It's cold, very cold.
Well, not in April.
Right. And so you take 2 or 3 buses and you get down there and you go to a bad neighborhood and with some stupid fake ID, like from Wayne State University or whatever. I think that's what Kirkla had one that said was from Wayne State. And you just go into these drugstores in some rough neighborhoods and they just sell you the beer. They didn't give a shit. And of course they know you're in high school, but they don't care. So we get our beers, and then remember those blue kind of parkas with the orange lining and the fur hood, fur line? Yeah, like every kid in the world wore that same. So we would put 3 beers down each sleeve and go into Wrigley. So we're good because it's cold. But anyway, and we think we're so cool, right? We're cutting class. We're going to Wrigley Field. It's cold and crappy, but whatever.
You think the statute of limitations is up? I mean, should you be saying this?
Well, here's the deal. So we get there, we sit down, we crack our first beers or maybe on our second ones, and we hear hello, boys, from about 3 rows up behind us, and it's Mr. Dykstra, Dickie D, sitting right there, up, like 3-4 rows back. And there's Mark Sulo, the quarterback, and myself and Kirkla, the center on the basketball team. The whole thing, it's like a bad teen movie, you know?
Yes.
And so there we all are at Wrigley, and cutting class, but then Mr. Dykstra's there, though. Aren't you supposed to be at school? So you're not really quite sure. And then he vanished, like the rest of the day, and nothing, no more. There
was a smoke cloud, and then right. I don't know if that's smoke cloud music, but it's what you got.
Well, it's the best I could do.
Right, I know. What am I expecting?
The guys up in the booth aren't that fast. We could, maybe. And Mr. Dykstra,
I need a.
Okay, well, the point is, next day in class, we're all going, "Oh my God, we got to go into Mr. Dykstra's class. What's he going to say? What's he going to do?" And so we go into class, and and he's kind of starting off in his usual preamble of whatever, and then he gets into it. I don't know how he segued into it. He goes, "You're not going to believe, class, I'm at the ballpark, and there's Scott, and there's Sulo and Magda, and they're pulling beers out left and right." And he made us into heroes, basically. He did such a solid that he goes, he made us like cool instead of, reporting us to the powers that be or whatever. And so that was kind of that's my story.
So wait. First of all, let me acknowledge Carolyn, Angel. Hi, you guys.
Oh, yeah, we got folks here today. We got visitors.
So when he starts telling the story and starts mentioning names, are you freaking out?
Yes, of course we are. Of course you're going to. And then he goes, Sulo and Magda and Scott and Kirkla.
My heart would have just, that's it. I wouldn't have been able to hear the rest of the story.
But then he starts doing this with his arms, he's flailing motion, and because we were pulling him out of those sleeves of those winter coats, we had old style. I guarantee it was old
Okay,
style.
so what is see, ladies and gentlemen, these are the kinds of stories. This is the only reason I hang out with him. Because every now and then I get one of these, and there's always some name, Dykstra in this case, associated with it that makes it memorable.
Sure. Dickie D. Richard Dykstra.
Plus, but now here's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I've known him for a really long time, and I've never heard him retell a story without exaggerating it by like 10 times. So I'm listening to this story, and I'm going, clearly it's not the first time he's told it, and some years have passed. I'm going, I wonder what really happened. But anyway, this is more fun anyway. No, and they're pulling out, and I can see him up there in front of the class. I'm sure.
He was animated. He goes, they're pulling beers out left and right. I never will. Now, am I bending it? Probably not 3 buses to get down. Maybe 1 transfer, right? But we did sneak beer in. Mr. Dykstra did bust us.
You exaggerated the number of buses.
I may have.
That's a bit, folks.
I may have rolled up.
But you got to really be a regular to know this.
To be a regular. So, but it's a true story. It is. And I really have.
Yeah, I still wish I could see it in real, go back, because we all now know how our memories change. I'm going to let you finish.
No, and he also did the PA on Saturday football games. He was the guy up in the booth on the microphone, and he was clever. You could hear him all over that neighborhood in Evergreen Park there when
Dickie D.
Dickie D. When the Mustangs would be playing on the field, the mighty Mustangs of Evergreen Park High School. And you could hear him around the neighborhood on the PA system. That was cool. Mr. Dykstra was a cool guy. He was kind of like...
Oh, my God. You know what I'm thinking of right now is Daddy is not going to kill Ralphie. It's like, you know what happened today? Oh, Ralphie got in a fight. Oh, no, here it comes in. But it was so cool. No.
Yeah, he was pulling beers out of his sleeves.
Wait a minute. And he couldn't put his arms down. And
right. Then he bought with a fake ID from Wayne State. Which Kirkla did, or Ball State. Maybe it was Ball State. Either way, it was something state. It was a back of a magazine. Kirkla sent in for it. Hey, look, I'm 23. I'm going, you're 17. Okay, but he was taller, and I think he was shaving by then, so Kirkla could go into these rough neighborhoods and buy us beer. But yeah, he was kind of like your music instructor. He was cool. He talked to you more like an equal, and he expected you to be, if you want to be treated like a grown-up, you're going to have to pull the weight. You got to do the assignments. You got to do the thing.
That is correct. And he could, I think, pretty clearly determine who could take it and who could not after a while. But he never really was easy on anybody. And as far as musician, you had to step up. I mean, we did a lot of competitions, marching and symphonic and jazz being where there was real excellence because that was his background. So,
What did he play? What was his instrument?
Saxophone.
Okay.
Yeah. And he could really play. So it was impressive. Good times. It's the only part of high school I enjoyed at all was band, which you know.
Yeah. I've got a picture of you somewhere, and that it was a red uniform, I believe.
Oh, my God. You have a picture?
I do. I have that picture, and you had a fro, like this perm kind of fro, this big hair. You had big hair.
Yeah, I really thought that picture, I thought my sister had sent that up onto Facebook, but maybe she spared me that one. I know it vividly, and
I think you sent it to me 100 years ago, probably just like,
possible.
Hey, look at this. This is funny. Ha ha. And then, of course, I'm not throwing it out. It's in there somewhere.
It is the epitome of me looking ridiculous in my high school years. I got the big stupid hair, and I'm wearing a band uniform, with the whole thing. I mean, clearly it was my band picture.
I think you had epaulets. Didn't you have epaulets up on the shoulder pad kind of thing with the little tassels? I think
probably, yeah.
or scrolly, orange or not orange, yellow kind of scroll.
And I might have been. Was I holding the hat underneath?
I don't believe you had a hat
Did I
on.
have it on my hat? So there's
No,
one
you
with the
didn't have
hat.
it.
There's one where I'm holding with the plume and everything, the big feather
Yeah,
plume.
you
Oh my
were
God.
not wearing the hat because your hair would have. I don't even know how you got a hat over that hair. You had a lot of hair, as I recall in that picture. A lot of hair.
I'm having the most intense feeling flashback, remembering those freaking feather plumes, because they would just stick. They were like basically they just push in with like a wire coat hanger thingy or whatever. Anyway. And you'd lose them and all that, but then just putting them in and out and on the bus afterward, you know. Oh my God, this is like so visceral. I can almost smell the bus, and see everybody doing the stupid. They would do the bus would divide into halves, and it would be like they'd do cheers back and forth, you know. Who's got spirit? Yes, we got spirit.
We do.
Yes, we do. And then Chaboogie,
How about
cha-cha, Chaboogie roll call. Did you ever hear that one?
No, I don't know that one.
His name is Bob. Yeah, he plays mellophone. Yeah, he did. No, his name, whatever. He goes in at SMH. Hell yeah, Chaboogie, cha-cha, Chaboogie roll. Oh my God.
It sounds like a John Hughes film.
You know, one of my friends, Vince, who sometimes I think maybe has caught this before, and we communicate a fair amount on Facebook. He would know that because he was on that very bus. He was on the Chaboogie bus.
Are you looking at the headline? Not
Yes,
the
the
headlines,
flashback brought to you by the Lounge Show.
I love that. We should almost have a music. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, that was wonderful. He actually was writing copy.
You don't you
I
have?
don't. Yeah,
like
I can't find.
You know what?
anything
I got to get some elevator music. That's what I need. I need 4 buttons of different
I
elevator
can do
music.
all skate,
Yeah, that's okay.
but that's not. This is brought to you by the Lounge Show. This flashback.
Well, sure it is.
brought-
I think that works.
Okay, by the Lounge Show.
I came, I started, I left. So nice to see you guys. Have fun without me. Thank you, Angel.
Yeah, you know, I like, and Angel posts neat things on Facebook, I've noticed. Really cool stuff. Inspirational, fun, good stuff. All good stuff. She's good for the whole family. I'm not making fun. I'm actually applauding here. It's like one of the positive, it's 30 watts in a 10-watt world, man.
Did you ever watch, have we ever talked about the Soupy Sales show? Soupy Sales in general?
I remember Soupy Sales. I remember him, and I mean, being on television, and I remember they ran for president. No, that was Pat Paulson. Pat Paulson ran for president.
Right.
I remember Soupy Sales was a panel show junkie.
He was on a lot of those, yeah. But did you ever see his show at all?
I don't. I probably have, but I couldn't recall anything. Nothing like all the
Dean,
intro.
did you ever see Soupy? Oh, Dean's got to have seen Soupy Sales. But
I'm
he
not saying I
he
did,
had a
but he-
show for years and years in different iterations of it, but it kind of had a similar format. He would talk to puppets. It was really loose, and he had this very strange and offbeat, goofy sense of humor. I loved it. I would stay up till 11 o'clock at night or whatever because it was on at this weird hour. This is really informally produced. He'd talk back and forth with the crew. It was just, and this, they'd have, everybody would just clap. It was just like as organic of a show. Okay, see, Dean knows what I'm talking about, as you could get. And I
didn't say I didn't remember that he had a show. I just can't remember anything from the show.
That's why I'm saying all of this stuff, Rob.
Okay. Hey.
Hey. Let the record show you got way more defensive first.
Who put a burr in your saddle, mister? Lighten the hell up.
Good try. But I got all these witnesses. I
have all these witnesses. And every one of their names is going in the hopper, Bob, to hopefully win the Lounge Around the House game, which is adorned in a gorgeous burnt orange corduroy carrying case.
That's right. And any day
and this
now, that
flashback
sucker's
is
going
brought
to
to you by the Lounge Show.
We really should get some concept art of that out soon.
Some concept art. Yes, we should. Because the holidays are right around the corner, Bob.
I mean, we have AI. We should be doing it. I like what Angel said about a 10% or 30% and a 10% world. That seems like a good prompt for a Mid-Journey image. I would like to see what it would do with that. So we have to go back and try that. All right. Well. And see, Carol knows Soupy Sales too.
Okay, speaking of, and where did that come from, the Soupy Sales thing? You just out of the blue, you just kind of brought up.
It was the applause. That sort of golf, a little bit, it's like a golf, but that we get very much off. That's the exact applause that the Soupy Sales show get, because it was literally like the crew. That's it. There was no real audience. It was just the crew. It was so hilarious.
True. Well, I don't recall. But I was talking about Johnny Carson the other day, because that's that same era. I was telling the people at work that, because some of the clients we have, as you know, we produce these radio shows, and some of the clients want to talk about politics. It's my show, and they pay for the show. I mean, it's my show, and I'm thinking that is just so dumb. And here's why I think so. Nothing against them; they're great people, but they want to talk about politics. And the thing is, I said about Carson, you didn't know whether he was Republican or Democrat because Johnny said, "Why would I alienate any potential viewer, that could come and give me ratings and earn a living?" Michael Jordan, he wouldn't tell either for the same reasons. He said, Republicans buy shoes too. I remember him saying that. He goes, Republicans buy shoes too, when he was hawking all that. So,
particularly when it's not a political show, it's a financial show, right?
Yeah, but they'll like to. But finance, what's Congress doing? Taxes, it all.
Right, but they don't need to tie it in. They just do.
No, they just do, and that's fine. I'm just saying, I would never take like we don't talk about politics and when the lounge is open.
Or Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. I think that's from a Disney or Pixar thing. I don't know why I thought you would know it. I mean, I wouldn't know it if I didn't have grandchildren. So, but I don't know. You got Riley, but I think it's actually a little before Riley's time.
Yeah, she's funny though, and she's fun to watch. In fact, that whole crew except Riley, she's not. But the cruise. The journey to the cruise begins this weekend.
Oh, okay. So it's not yet underway. So how long does it last?
Here's the funny part. I'm on the phone with Steven today, right? Because I said, I'll call you on Saturday before you catch your flight. He's catching a later flight. Plus he's 2 hours, as you know, he's in Mountain Time. So I thought, and I missed him, but he called back. And so I said, so you're going to Aunt Kimberly's tonight, right? So Sam and Ben are already there. They drove down early this morning. So they're at my sister's. And then, because she's in Orlando and they're going out of Cape Canaveral or something, about an hour down the road, is where the port of call is.
Do you know the cruise line?
So here's the fun part. I say to Steven, so you're going to get there tonight, and then I think you guys are going to maybe grill out or something with Aunt Kimberly tomorrow, and then you're on the boat on Monday. I don't, Dad, I don't really know. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I know I'm getting on the boat. I know I'm going on the cruise, and that's all I know. So he didn't know when they're departing, the name of the cruise. He doesn't know what they're going to do on the ship. But I think that may be to his advantage. You have if you have no
expectations, right? They can't be shattered to pieces.
That's right. So he's just floating along, but I don't know what cruise line. I know I don't know. All I know is I was sent a name of all of the next of kin. This is not a joke. In case the ship goes down, then I'm supposed to contact all of them, I guess.
Right, but there's only like a 30% chance of that happening, right? So I mean,
oh yeah, yeah, right. I wrote in pen. I wrote the list in pen. I don't think we're going to need to change any names or numbers. So they're going on a cruise. And so that should be an interesting thing. I mean, it's both kids, they're and Sammy's bringing her husband too, obviously.
So the answer to the question, how long are they gone, is you don't know. Steven doesn't know.
4 days, 5 days, maybe a week.
So we're either getting so maybe we'll get a report on the next show.
On the next show, we'll talk about. And I said to Steven, if you find me a kitchen magnet. And he goes, you want one from like the boat or one of the ports of call? I said, one of the ports of call. Those are obviously areas and he goes, well, I'll only get something if it's cool. And I said, exactly. That's why I'm asking you. Don't get me one just because you have to. You get one because one pops. You're walking through one of these tchotchke stores.
Is that the motivation I'm supposed to have when I get you those things? Because they're cool? I thought it was just because I had to.
No, that's not true, and you're not even allowed to do that bit because one of my favorite magnets down there that you brought me a long time ago, it came from Russia.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't it say something weird?
It says it in Russian. I don't know what the hell it says. You told me, but the guy's doing this like, with his head. That's the picture on it, the cartoon. And then there's Russian letters underneath. It says
See, now with our phones, we can translate by just staring at it with it, and it'll tell us what that says.
So I don't know what it says, but that's one of my favorites.
I remember that.
Yeah, you were going on those tours. You were on like a junket, a speaking junket. You were touring the globe, being Bob Doyle.
Ugh. Oh my God! I mean, I just so remember those. I remember being in those hotel rooms in Russia, going. Feeling like such a fish, way out of water. Like, what am I doing here? Exactly. That's exactly the sound I would make every day when I'd wake up in a hotel room in Russia. And they bang on the door.
Right,
and say something in Russian. I couldn't
I gotta go. That's right, Bob. And then you'd put on your suit and tie. Did you dress up for those things?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Most definitely. It was all very formal. You couldn't be like, I mean, because there's no, think about it, I couldn't use humor at all. There's no room at all for any humor when you're talking in Russian because totally. I accidentally tried a couple of times when I first started speaking there, and talk about crickets on a huge scale. That was when I was speaking to that 10,000 people in this arena for Amway, and it was I wish I'd gotten the cricket.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, don't ever do that again. 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 I broke out in a little bit of a mini sweat.
I'm telling you. So let me tell you, comrades, by the time I got there, the midget was already on fire. That's what kind of
Sorry, cricket, I don't speak Russian.
I love that. Don't do humor. I'm not kidding. Don't do humor. Don't do humor. But I did it anyway. I tried to do it
by
anyway.
accident. I'm saying I didn't plan it. It's just that's because I speak. That's how just extemporaneously, right? For the most part,
sure, off the cuff kind of stuff.
So if there's a line, it's like I can't. It just kind of vomits out, and then and then she has to try to translate it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And but hey, they paid you a couple of bucks, as I recall. I mean, it was worth your while.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day. That was good speaking money for shirtles.
Yeah, so there you go. That's and then from that mound of money that you were awarded, you bought me a magnet.
Stupid light.
and you got me a magnet, a kitchen magnet, where the guy says, "Well, I could have had a V8 in Russia
or whatever it is." Yeah, I do think we looked it up or knew what it was. Like it's. That's
next
so
time
familiar.
You visit, if we remember, we'll go down there and see if we can put our phones on there like you did with the plants over on that walk the one time. What does it smell? That plant smells great. And you were taking pictures of the plant when we took a walk through the park.
Oh yeah. To see what the plant,
the Latin name. Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll see what it says. Hey, by the way, I read this the other day, and I had this for notes. We're getting toward the twilight of the show. The lounge is going to close. There's a pedestrian flow zone ordinance that I read. This is not a joke in Vegas. Do you know about this? Where you can't stand for lengthy periods of time in certain areas of Las Vegas, the Strip, I'm guessing, and take pictures and congregate because they need people to flow effectively and efficiently. And it's up to 6 months in jail or $1,000 fine. And why would I write that down if it wasn't true? It's got to be true. The point is, I thought it was interesting.
Well, it sounds like that's one of those laws that probably exists but is never, ever enforced.
Fair, and there was
the lollygag law or whatever.
The lollygag law. Sounds like they also...
Hold on, I just wanted to peek. It's just pretty much like last week. They got a breeze going. You can't really tell because the flag's cut off by the frame, but...
Well, the water is not moving because it's frozen there.
That's right.
The ice line is about halfway out now, but it's a clear night. You can tell because all the lights across the lake.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah,
that's
clear and it's cold.
That
means it's cold. That means it's cold.
Oh
if
yeah,
it's clear. It's cold.
That's crisp, all righty. All right, sorry about that. I just wanted to.
No, I'm glad we went to the what are we calling it now? The flurry cam instead of the blurry cam, but there were
except it's not flurry, so therefore there's no text on the screen.
No text. But still, it's nice to check in with Lake Geneva.
Thank you, Tracy. We love you, too. That's Latbat, ladies and gentlemen, right there on the screen.
That's right there. Yeah.
You're reading that name. That's her. All right. Well, that's music means... Man, I wish you could play music and me not stomp on it just by talking. We are broadcast professionals. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
We're on year 3. What are we doing? Well, there's so many layers to that question.
When we open the lounge, I still spin. There's some consistency to the show. Lighten up there, Pee-wee.
No, there's a lot of consistency to the show. I just really would, if we could get the audio thing worked out where we're not stepping on each other and get the real-time thing, it's just a whole different show. You and I both know that it just opens up a whole different world.
And I'm supposed to use that new fangled software.
I guess, I haven't tried it in forever since, I just have to load it up again and see, but...
Yeah, this is Pavlovian to Bob, I'm telling you.
I love that. So... Although it sounds like it's coming from across the room. It doesn't sound like it's being fed down the pipe. Turn it up.
Oh, okay. Here you go. Hold on. Right. Bob likes this.
Who wouldn't like this? Oh, I thought that was a key change.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, it's like Steve Martin bit where he goes, death and murder, and he
Death
says you
and
can't
grief and sorrow and murder.
And with those words, those were the words they chose. I kid you not. Those were the words. So when those words came out, they decided that's when they were going to end the show. They could have done, I don't know, countless other things, but they chose that sequence of words to end it. And this is how we're left with the show. I don't get it. I don't think I can watch anymore.
You've been watching The Lounge Show with Rob Scott and Bob Doyle. Join us every Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and tell your friends and family to do the same. After all, we'd do it for you if you had a show. Probably.